second year in Mary Lynn. The first time I saw mulch expense, I went ballistic. It was $6,000 a 5 pounds. So I couldn't believe why we need to spend so much money on mulch. But apparently we do, because it's a special mulch. It's not any mulch. It's very special mulch that cannot have any sharp edges, and it can go through two certifications. So APS need to, whatever happens there, not everyone is selling it. So anyway, this year, since we are going to move playground to different place because of renovation, we're hoping that we can be able to use some of mulch that is there, and the only money we need to spend is not more than $2,000. Pea gravel playground repairs, again, just because we need to move playground around, we budgeted about $1,000. So total buildings and grounds at about $5,400. Communications. Kim was great about doing it very lean, and we've been really trying to save as much money as possible, but still there are some expenses, and we believe that total communications are about $1,200. This year we are trying to spend more money on education. So this is the money which is, you can look allocated. We have more teachers, so this is why teacher allotments this year is $10,000. Teacher allotments, each teacher gets about $200 at the beginning of the year to buy any supplies they need for starting the school year.
Did you say 200?
Yeah. Teacher grants, again, Teresa already mentioned that. Teachers are welcome to apply for a grant if it helps to some professional education. It's not just a trip to Hawaii, but it's also something they can learn and help to learn to our children. Questions? Yes, please. Okay, so that's a very good question, and I'll explain that. I actually very know why. So $250 are budgeted for junior league, and junior league cost is $50 per team. $50 per team, and last year we asked parents to pay $50 per child to support all teams, and we kept $250 in case we can get some scholarships to the children who cannot afford to participate, so we can be able to support them. Additional $1,000 are allocated for 3rd and 4th graders. Their team cost is $1,000. So in order, and it's involved much more serious robotics-related Lego. It's not just simple Lego you get. They really do machines. So we hope that we can get matching grant from Candler Park Neighborhood Association for additional $1,000 that we can support 3rd and 4th graders to participate in this program. And then maybe able, because then it's extremely, it can be expensive to parents to pay. It could be about $100 per child. So we want to support them to participate. Did that answer your question? Visiting artist program, we budgeted $6,000 last year. I think children very excited about that, and Carla is here and she can tell you more about this program if you have any questions. Science night, we hope we can bring more brains. I know. But we do, and this is why we little bit increase also the budget for that. Last year it was about $1,500. This year we are budgeting for $1,800 and hope to get at least 3 more brains, right? Okay, executive, we are have discretionary $1,000 if something happened, some disaster, whatever. I don't know as a disaster, and I don't want to know, but we have some kind of back if we need to pay for something. We decided to support administration requests for matters this year again, just to make sure that it's all issues of mathematics are addressed. And my understanding is that the teacher will address issues of geometry and measure. Thank you. Math matters? Dr. Mitchell, would you like to explain about Math Matters? There is a question.
What is the question?
What is Math Matters? Is that the question?
This is Ashley Adam, our assistant principal.
You're on camera, Ashley.
I know.
Is she?
I noticed how much I talked with my hands last week, so I'm doing this. Math Matters is a professional development where we have hired a professor from Georgia State who comes out, she works with grade level by grade level, looks at the Common Core standards, works with the teachers to develop lesson plans that address the standards, but also challenge the students to think more deeply about math. We specifically are targeting geometry and measurement because as we looked at our data from last year, which overall was very good, we just noticed a discrepancy between how the kids are able to perform in basic math concepts and algebra. Their scores are great compared to geometry and measurement where they were just not as great. So because of that discrepancy, those are the two areas we're actually focusing on this year. But Lynn Hart comes in, works with each team. They spend a day together developing lesson plans, and then they actually go back and teach. One teacher volunteers to teach, and the other teachers watch. And then they come back together to say, like, what went well, what can we change, how is this going to work in my classroom, and how can we teach the kids not only to learn the concepts, but how to apply and think through reasonable answers. So that's kind of it, Math Matters in a nutshell.
I worked with Dr. Hart last year for the 5th grade, and she was really awesome.
But I believe we also will be evaluating other options if it's needed. Where I am? Sorry. Okay, fundraising expenses. So fundraising is fun, and we are raising obviously a lot of funds, but you cannot raise funds without paying for something. So this is why we have also some expenses. So we believe that Homoranathon, because we need to buy T-shirts, we need to pay for a lot of things, it can cost us about $5,000.
Explain what Homoranathon is for new families.
Julie will give you after we'll be done with that, she will be more than happy to explain it. Health and sustainability, we have community garden. Last year we almost rained out on spring cleaning, but it still was fun and it actually didn't rain. So we are doing it this year again, and we budgeted to all that about $950. On operations, we have, as Teresa and Nancy mentioned before, and we won our prize, but we are members of General Georgia PTA, so we need to pay them back our dues. So this is where you see $1,800 for PTA membership. Outreach. Last year, MLK Day Operation Care Basket was very successful, and we decided to do it this year again, and it's about $250 expense. Pumpkin Festival is about $1,000. Parent involvement, again, you can look on each of the parts and let me know if you have any questions. We decided also to allocate about $650 for special education, if special education teachers have any special requests, so they something. And transportation, Annie was great, so we all know. Dealing with APS transportation wasn't so simple, but we're getting there. So I can admit my children now have a green band and they're safe at home when they need to be. So, but it also costs money, and we have about $700 expense. So if you can see, we have a negative net income. So don't get too alerted about that. Currently, we have about $45,000 in our bank account. So this budget is like we have zero. We do have money in our bank account. We need to remember that we are a non-profit organization. As a non-profit organization, it's not necessarily good to carry big cash amounts in a bank from year to year, especially where our purpose is to help children. On the other hand, we don't want to spend all $45,000 just because we want to spend $45,000. So we hope that home runathon. It's too many words for me to say. You'll excuse me. We'll bring enough money, so we will not be negative. But if we have to, we only dip in 7, and I hope we will not. So we're still leaving at least $30,000 for next year to carry on. So, and we want to have this money because we may, with renovations and all that stuff, we may be necessarily to make some
And
big
we also-
improvements.
We also plan to add things in. If the Hermanathon does well, we're going to add in additional teacher allotments. We're going to add in a teacher grant line because right now we're waiting to see what it makes
Right.
in order to see how much we'll spend additionally. But we want to make sure that we, one, leave some for the next year's PTA so they can start off okay. And then also our big goal that's coming up is going to be a new playground. And we're going to work with Foundation a lot with that to try to, transfer some funds over to them. Because that's going to be a capital campaign of theirs, is the playground, since we will not have one basically after the renovation. And Atlanta Public Schools does not pay for playground facilities at all, so will be up to us to do, so.
And they
Any
can be
questions?
very expensive too, they can be anywhere from 80 to 100,000.
Yeah, look,
So what kind of insurance policy does the PTA need to buy for this?
we have a
PTS?
PC,
I mean, like, what's
AIG
not
is
covered
the
under,
company. It's just liability insurance for different events or something happens, just
but
to.
they're not covered under the school policy for liability? I'm not talking about the liability for the board, because this is a small, you're not saying you have a policy for your board.
PTA, as a PTA, all PTAs do. I believe
executive
that's part of
committee,
their
PTA
requirement.
board has
Georgia
insurance.
requires
Yeah.
that
I believe so. We always have to do it every.
umbrella.
Yeah. I know. Covering the bases.
Yeah.
Two attorneys.
No, I mean, I don't, so the Georgia PTA requires each member?
I believe so, because because in the past, when we've talked about if we were ever going to switch to PTO at one point, you would get your own individual one. That's when